Sounds good. Hello, and welcome to the Monona Grove School Board Candidate Forum. I'm Devin Renner from the Monona Eastside Business Alliance. Today's forum is hosted by Monona Community Media and the Monona Eastside Business Alliance. Our moderator for today is Joy Cardine from the League of Women Voters. The candidates for today's forum are Chris Bondurant, Eric Hartz, Andrew McKinney, and Laureen Gage. We ask that you please mute your microphone when you're not speaking to ensure the candidate who is speaking will not have any interruptions. I'll now hand it over to Joy Cardine to get the forum underway.
Thank you so much, and welcome to what should be a very informative forum with the candidates running for Monona Grove School Board. We have an hour and a half for you to answer the questions that were submitted ahead of time by the community. Some have been slightly edited for brevity, clarity, and fairness. Here are the rules in place for the forum. You have a minute and a half to answer each question. Our timekeeper will give you cues to let you know how much time you have and when your time is up. Please honor the time limits. I will jump in if you don't. Please answer the question that is asked and do not reference the other candidates in your answers. No personal attacks, please. And please don't interrupt when another candidate is speaking. I will rotate the order in which candidates answer each question. You will have a minute and a half for opening statements and closing remarks as well. The order was random and predetermined. For opening statements, Chris Bondurant is first. Go ahead with your opening statement and you have a minute and a half.
Thank you. My name is Chris Bondurant, and this is my second endeavor running for the school board, and I appreciate your inviting me to this forum. I will keep this brief. First, I will begin as an advocate for the students first and foremost. That will be my main goal as far as being a candidate on this board, is that I will be an advocate for all students. Second, I will do whatever it takes to ensure the teachers have the resources necessary to be effective no matter what circumstances we may face in the near future. Thirdly, I would like to take a fresh look at all the district's policies and allowances as far as what we spend our money on. Thank you.
Eric Hartz is next.
Thank you, Joy. My name is Eric Hartz. I just finished my first term on the school board, and I would appreciate your vote for a second term on the Monona Grove School Board. I am a teacher of a transition program at Madison College and work with the Madison School District. I have a doctorate in education, and in my first term on the school board, I started Teaching, Learning, and Equity Committee, which I'm the chairperson of, and I also serve on the Personnel Committee. And I think that there's more work to be done, and I've learned a lot in my first 3 years. I think I'll be an even better board member in my second term, especially with understanding the concerns of the public and what's in the best interest of the students. Thank you very much.
Andrew McKinney, your opening statement now.
Thank you. Thank you for having me. Monona Grove School District has been through a lot, so is Wisconsin. And my job is to keep students safe and educated, as well as keeping our staff and giving them the opportunity to educate our students. For my first term, I am now two-time president, and I will continue with the success of improving our school district. So these first 3 years, I have served as vice president. I've served on the TLE committee. I have helped negotiate a new teacher contract and put it on the referendum. I helped with getting a school referendum to get a new elementary school up. I've been improving my skills, attending the WASB events every year. So for my second term, I have and will continue to have better opportunity to serve our student, staff, communities, and families. So please vote out April 6th for me, as I want to continue. Desire, dedication, and determination for a better tomorrow. That's what I like. Thank you.
And Laureen Gage, your opening statement.
Thank you for the League of Women for this forum and all that contributed for this forum. For me, I almost didn't consider rerunning. And the reason is just a few weeks before signing my nomination forms, I lost my dad, one of my biggest supporters to COVID-19. But what changed my mind is what I reflected on what I have done in the year and a half, beginning with being nominated out of 16 candidates, being the first African-American woman to serve on the Monona Grove School Board, and serving as a legacy for students, being a key speaker for the Black Lives Matter March that brought cohesion to the community. I want to continue my legacy. I also want to continue to be a sounding board, also for students of color. Some of the things that I've done, created an oversight or asked for an oversight committee for our student resource officers. I won't go on, but I want to continue my work on the school board. I've done so much so far, and I want to continue to do that. But the only way is through your support and your vote on April 6th. Thank you.
Thank you. To the questions now. First question is, what school district or community activities or organizations have you been involved in? And we start question 1 with Laureen Gage.
Sure. So thank you. Some of the programs or community activities is one, the Parent Equity Committee that serves to support students of color and also allows them to have a voice in the community. In the community, I also belong to the Cottage Grove Housing Task Force that is working to provide affordable housing for people of color and people that need housing in our community. In addition to that, in my line of work, I work with the homeless community. So I also work in the North Side Resource Team, and I help the North Side of Madison to help with affordable housing and safety issues. So very involved in the community and helping with mental health, homelessness, and social justice issues. Thank you.
Chris Bondurant, go ahead with your answer. But you'll unmute first. It happens.
Could you read the question again, please?
The question is, what school district or community activities / organizations have you been involved in?
I myself have 3 kids, one that's graduated from Monona Grove already, and a senior and a junior at this time. I have been involved in coaching since they were in kindergarten. I have been a football, baseball coach. I've also refed in the community rec center. And I've also volunteered quite extensively through the local church. And I've helped sandbag and all kinds of things in Monona. Whatever is needed, I usually am right there to help with my wife. Thank you.
Eric Hartz.
Thank you, Joy. Well, I was a freshman soccer coach for Monona Grove for a couple of years. The last year I did it completely on a volunteer basis before that was my first year of the school board. I've been involved with soccer in the community in both Monona Grove and Madison for a fair amount of time. Probably most of the time I've been here since 1995 or something like that. Also a previous radio DJ on WVMO. I had a jazz show on there that I did called Blue Note Jazz Hour. I work at MATC. I do a lot of stuff with transitional students from the Madison School District, transitioning them into the trades. And I've been really involved with the local music community, both in Monona, Cottage Grove, and Madison. And previously started in the Madison School District, started a rock band club for young musicians who wanted to get into that field. Thank you.
And Andrew McKinney.
Thank you for the question, Joy. I have been in the community in so many things. It's probably impossible to just add everything, but I'm gonna try my best. So first, I am going to be a new officer at my BFW 7591 post. I'm gonna be a junior vice, so I will be third in command. I have in the community of Cottage Grove, I have done community work with and coaching with many different sports. I have worked with the Parent Equity Committee in the school district, the Teach and Learn Equity Committee before I became president of the school board. And I also am on the housing task force for the village of Cottage Grove as well. It's just so many things that I have my fingers in the communities around, not just in Cottage Grove and Monona, but the surrounding areas, because they all connect. It's like a domino effect. And I'm just part of the lives of many students, parents, and also in the community. Thank you.
Second question, again submitted by the community. Why do you want to be a school board member? And we will start this round with Andrew McKinney.
The reason why I want to be a school board member is because I've always been in the community helping. This is an opportunity that gives me being a minority voice for just students and staff, and being that voice for the community and parents that no one likes to hear. I've been noticing this trend for a very long time since coming out of the military in 94. We do not have a voice, and I wanted to get out there. My first 3 years, I've accomplished a lot, but I know I can accomplish more. I know that the school district has been doing a lot of changes for the good of students and staff. And I still want to be a part of that. And I want to be in this leadership role and position to keep moving our school district forward. Thank you.
Chris Bondurant is next.
Thank you. The reason that I want to run for the school board and be a member of the school board is I want to help with keeping the kids first and foremost in the minds of everybody in this district. I want to work with the community and the other board members, along with everybody that's involved with the facilities and the different municipalities in this school district. We have a very difficult issue between Monona and Cottage Grove as far as how much money and what money we need to spend. I think it's time to reallocate some of the funds and really start from a grassroots initiative as to where do we really have the priorities for this district. I think that the priorities of this district and the policies of this district need another fresh set of eyes on it. Thank you.
And Lorene Gage.
Thank you. I want to run for so many reasons. One, being a single parent, raising my children as a younger age, it was a challenge, and balancing that between finances and keeping having my children to thrive academically. And I think there are so many families out there like me that need support and that need people to advocate for them. And I want to be a sounding board for families. Also, I was a former special education teacher for over 15 years, so I know what's needed inside the classroom and outside. We need collaboration, we need resources and support from both administration and families. And so I do know what it takes. Also, our students of color. Students need to see someone that reflects, that looks like them. And I think and someone that's going to advocate for them as well. So seeing that on a day-to-day basis and knowing that they have someone there to support them is very important. And hopefully one day they'll take my seat as well. But I want to continue to advocate again for students, families, and teachers. And the only way is through support from the community. Thank you.
Eric Hartz.
I want to continue as a school board member because there are a number of important issues that are in the present that will be rolling over into next year, like the reopening plan, the reopening of the new elementary school, the school resource officers contracts, continuing the work on diversity with the Teacher Learning and Equity Committee, hiring a more diverse staff, fair teacher contracts. I think I have the experience to be a good board member, work with other board members, the administration, and the teachers, all for one common goal, and that's what's in the best interest of our students, and how can we promote an educational system in our community that's going to be beneficial for all of our students, not just the majority of students in the district. So,
Our next question, what do you hope to accomplish in your term in office? Describe the top 3 objectives that you have if you are elected. So describe the top 3 objectives that you have if you are elected, which I think tells us what you hope to accomplish. Let's start this one with Eric Hartz.
I think number 1 is to have an opening plan for all grades K through 12, 4 or 5 days a week, full days, or as full a day as we can safely do, and to do a reopening that's safe for our students and staff. I think we have a lot more data and information now to do that safely, and we have great plans on the table right now. We need to continue moving forward with those plans so we can get our schools open. That is my first priority. My second priority is to continue the work I've been doing for our students of color in the district, hiring a more diverse staff in the district. And then the third thing or priority would be to help the teacher's voice when working collaboratively with administration, so that we keep that center focus goal of what's in the best interest for the students in the forefront.
Laureen Gage.
Thank you. Definitely my priorities would lie in school reopening, mental health, and then the disparities in student achievement. So in regards to school reopening, I think ensuring that it is done safely, ensuring that our teachers are vaccinated and that we have the safety protocols in place and that students are also safe, and giving parents a choice if they want to have the opportunity to attend school in person or virtual. Secondly is mental health. And again, I have a lot of experience in mental health, but making sure that we have the needed resources to support our teachers and our students. And then lastly, working on student achievement. There are disparities, especially with our Hispanic and African American students, and ensuring that we can work hard and find ways and solutions to improve on their achievement and to close the achieving gap even more. Thank you.
Next is Chris Bondurant.
Thank you. I'll say that I have a lot of the same priorities that all the other candidates seem to have right now. My first one would be to get the kids back in school. I have a senior that couldn't be happier that they're actually going to finally be getting back to school, even though it's only 2 days. And yes, honestly, the teachers need to be vaccinated. Nobody should be at risk going to work. Nobody should not feel safe going to work. Secondly, I would like to see a closer look at the facilities that we have in Cottage Grove and Monona, because I think a lot of the problems with the wages for the teachers is that we carry too much facility costs. We have too much overhead. I think that some of these facility costs could be alleviated if we take up with the municipalities and build some of these facilities through the local municipalities, because the school district should not be in charge of renting a gym. That should be left to the communities that the gym is in. I also would like to see the, excuse me, education and gaps closed I know that more kids are going to need more time, missing almost a whole year of school. And I would not be against having a do-over for the kids that actually wanted to come back. And I certainly would be in favor of anybody that wanted to stay virtual. Thank you.
Next, we go to Andrew McKinney.
Thank you. So the first thing is I want to continue to attract, diversify, and retain highly qualified teachers and staff. We are having a shortage of that, not just in Monona, Dane County, but all of Wisconsin. So we really need to start, hopefully we can get some great teachers and staff. I want to continue to improve our programming post-COVID-19 for students to succeed in their challenges for their secondary paths. When the teachers get their vaccinations, having a plan to reopen fully, especially in the fall, to get back to some normalcy. It's been a challenge for everyone. So I'm glad that the parents, the community and staff have been very patient and working with it, and hopefully we get that together. The last thing is I would make sure that we want to continue to service the needs of our low income, single parent homes, our homeless students, low wage teachers, and safety in schools, the mental health, equity, and equality that lacks in the community and our district. There's so much need to be done out there. And for me, being a 6'7" Black man who have been raised in a single parent home, I know that these are things that we need to get done and moving. Thank you.
Let's move on to our next question. What do you see as the future role of public education in our society? And we start this one with Chris.
What do I see as the role of public school in the future? Is that correct?
Yes, the future role of public education in our society.
Well, the way our society is going right now, we're asking an awful lot of our public schools. We're asked to teach kids to read in kindergarten that have never seen a book before. So I believe that the school district has to learn to work more with the municipalities to team up in order to be able to afford the resources. We don't have the money to give teachers raises when we have to put a new roof on a gym that's 20 years old, when that gym could actually be a facility for the community that's rented out year round and that is used year round, and would be a huge advantage to the school district to just have a contract signed possibly with that. I believe that a lot of the problems with the school we have right now are in facilities, the infrastructure that we have to rebuild and keep rebuilding. We need to invest in our schools, but we need to invest in our kids first. Thank you.
Andrew.
Thank you for that question. COVID-19 has changed the game. And we have been learning that new teachers are going to need to learn how to teach virtual from college. That's one thing. Another thing, we're going to wind up having a school choice, where kids who can learn online will have that opportunity to stay home, while others who really need that help and that one-on-one, that means the smaller class sizes. And then 3, I think that with both of these things I just said that will go with it, that gives a lot of opportunity for public education to change from this traditional style that has been stuck forever, to branch into the future of new ways of teaching and educating, both for teachers and students. And I believe that if we follow some of the guidelines, and hopefully the colleges can change their ways of training new and upcoming teachers, I think this can happen for the future of public education. Thank you.
Next is Lorene.
Thank you for that question. I think public education is changing in that we're going to have to serve more of as a village for students and families. There are so many students and families that are going through things, especially now with the pandemic, but we need resources to support our students with mental health issues. We're facing a lot of evictions right now, and families need support, and schools can have access to resources. So I think, again, we need to serve as a village for families and students as much as we can. And secondly, technology is very important. Now we're seeing with the pandemic that we relied heavily on technology. So definitely moving forward, I think having that option of having virtual option for students, some thrive in that community. So having that option of virtual as well as in person definitely is something that we should look towards. Thank you.
And Eric.
Well, the future public education, we really need to focus on diverse learners using methods like universal design, so we could teach all of our students at varying levels, learning levels. Our students need to be college ready. When I say college ready, I'm not talking about a 4-year degree. I mean college ready, or a 1-year technical degree, a 2-year technical degree, or a skill such as coding or computer programming. That is going to be very valuable for our youth, especially going forward in this world with all the jobs in technology and the digital world that we live in. So these are things we need to be focusing on, these new set of technology jobs that are going to be the jobs of the future. But our students also need to be good problem solvers. They need to be good problem solvers, and they have to have the support to do that and know how to access the support for help when they need it too. So as we move forward and focus on the education system we have now, we have to be able to adjust to change with the times too.
Next question. What issues do you believe your district needs to address in its academic program and offerings? So what issues do you believe the district needs to address when it comes to academic programs and offerings? And we will start this one with Laureen.
I think, well, there's a couple things. So one, definitely we need to address the disparities in academics and kind of look at deep dive into why that is happening. But as in regards to offerings, I think we need a wide variety. Not everyone is going to be ready for college. There are some people that just would like to work out, work. And I think we should provide opportunities, hands-on opportunities for students that choose a different path than going to college. Also, in regards to the students that do seek, social media is a big thing. So coding, things that involve technology is very important. So a wide variety. So again, hands-on, and then also things that involve technology, but definitely advanced classes as well. Thank you.
Next is Eric.
Can you repeat the question for me? I'm sorry.
That's fine. What issues do you believe your district needs to address in its academic program and offerings?
Oh, I think we need to create more options for our students, especially with a more diverse student population and multiple different learning styles for our students. So we need to have more options for those students to take. And I think we slowly need to move a little bit away from these standardized tests and assessments that are looking at just very specific core areas. And we're leaving out a lot of other areas like arts and athletics, other skill-based areas that are very employable and can lead on to a long-term good skills that students will be able to have careers in and be successful in. So focusing on those types of things and making sure our options widen, not narrow, will be really important for our students to be successful moving forward.
Chris is next.
Thank you. As a person in the trades and a journeyman machinist, I would certainly like to see more hands-on in high schools for the kids to learn, because I'm a hands-on learner. I believe MG21 is doing a great job offering these types of things to kids. going into the trades is a great thing. And I think that in sophomore year in high school that you should be able to decide, you know what, I think I'm going to be more of a trades person than a 4-year degree person. Also, there's a lot of maturity that goes into being in the trades. You just don't walk into a machine shop as a 19-year-old and be accepted without a certain level of maturity. So some of this has to be brought to the kids' attention while they're in high school, so that maybe they don't lose that opportunity for an apprenticeship because of running their mouth off. I've had that happen. I've seen that happen. I've taught I've taught apprentices for many years. I taught 15 years of machine tool at MATC, and also worked with a lot of apprentices when I was in an apprenticeship in Racine at Wisconsin Pattern. So maturity and desire are two things that we can really help these kids with. Thank you.
Andrew.
Thank you. I like all the responses. Those are some great responses from everybody. As a student that really did not succeed in school with the surroundings that I grew up with, I see that in a lot of students out here in Dane County. The traditional style is disappearing. So we do need to go into something like working with just core classes, some students with the advanced classes. There's going to be students that are not going to be college ready, and we need to be honest with that. So we'll need to get some kids in the trades. There's some kids that may want to go in the military like myself to get to turn their life around for their future as adults. A lot of these kids, they seem to be following what is the goings-ons out here in the television land and whatever is the new hip thing of today. And then they lose their total concentration on just the basic skills that they need to survive in this world. And so again, training these teachers, new teachers that come out to do the online and the virtual and get into these communities that do not have a lot of opportunities. These are things that need to change, and I think this is what's going to work out. Thank you.
Next question. In the development of a school district budget, what goals and objectives would guide your decision making? In the development of a school district budget, what goals and objectives would guide your decision making? This one we start with Eric.
What's in the best interest of the students? That always has to be the first thing that we consider with the budget. Is it something that we need smaller class sizes, or is it something that we need better teachers, more experienced teachers, or keeping our experienced teachers in the district for our students? What are the opportunities going to be for our students based on the budget decisions that we make, such as with the new referendum that was just passed and the new elementary school that's being built? Those are all really important things to consider. I myself am a big promoter and supporter of teacher-led schools, and I do believe that teachers are leaders and that they have if they have all the resources available to them, they can create some great learning opportunities for our students. So I'm lighter on the administrative side and more focused on the direct student contact with teachers and our support staff in the schools. So I think those are things that need to be considered when we're looking at budgets.
Chris is next.
I'm sorry, I'd like to hear the question again, please.
In the development of a school district budget, what goals and objectives would guide your decision making?
Well, my goals would be first to not overspend, keep everything within budget. And then when we do have overruns, find out why are we having these overruns? Who is responsible for this issue that we keep having overruns with? Students have to come first, taxpayers, and then we have to set our priorities and stick to them. I believe that we have too much money invested in facilities at this time. I don't believe that we need to build soccer stadiums, football stadiums. I believe the resources that we have right now, the facilities we have right now will work. Maybe with a little bit of money to update them, but I think we need to work with the municipalities in order to build these things so that their community can use it, and then the high school can rent it. Then we're not on the end of the rope to pay for it 20 years down the road when it needs a new roof or it needs this. And also, if we bring in the residents and the municipalities, we can also maybe sell the naming rights, because at MG you cannot sell the naming rights to the facilities. And I think that's an avenue for money that we have not explored. Thank you.
Andrew, you're next.
Thank you. That's a really great question. The change that I see when we make these decisions, given the opportunity to train our teachers to teach virtual, we're going to have to start doing that. Hopefully that will pop up in the next run here. The reason being because this can create smaller classrooms, and then they can give teachers opportunities to work with a lot of the students that are having difficult times in their learning sense. Also, some like renting out, using our facilities to rent out to get more revenue to our community. That's another point. And I'm glad I heard that out there as well. But then continuing with more of the mental health piece and the social work, and getting and building more of that equity and equality within the schools. Those are the priorities I'd like to see in our budget when we make those decisions. And that way, that would help out our school district more here in the future. Thank you.
Laureen.
Troy, can you please repeat the question?
Sure. In the development of a school district budget, what goals and objectives would guide your decision making?
Thank you. I think I'm going to echo some of the things that were said by the other candidates. I think we do need to look at the spending. Taxpayers, we don't want them to overspend. And it's important that we create a budget that is affordable. Students are obviously very foremost in our district. And so making sure that they have the needed tools and resources so they can be successful in the classroom. And then our teachers as well. We want to retain and hire the best teachers possible. So they need the resources so that they can thrive and teach our students. So those are the three areas that I definitely would look at. Thank you.
Our next question, I guess, is related, but it doesn't have to be just budgeting, I guess. What is the best way for a Board of Education to be sure it stays on target? What is the best way for a Board of Education to be sure it stays on target? Andrew McKinney, you're first on this one.
That's a great question. And that's what we as board members do. We want to make sure that we are getting all the information that is needed from our superintendent. And as the president, really work one-on-one with him to make sure that he is doing the necessary, all the necessaries to be successful as a superintendent and working for not just administration, but the teachers and staff to educate our students. Remember, it's always about the students. And that's one thing I love about my board members, everyone that I work with, is that we are all focused, we are all here. This is why we're here right now, is that we want to do and provide education for our students. That is our number one goal. That's what a school district is about. It is not about egos. It is not about anything. It's about educating our kids and finding the ways to do it, working with our superintendent and the staff and administration to get it done. And again, we just need all of that communication, working together as a team to get this done. Thank you so much.
What is the best way for a Board of Education to be sure it stays on target? Laureen Gage.
I think it's important that when we make decisions that it's not based off an opinion, but a collective decision. So one based off of research, but we're listening to the voices of everyone, right? So teachers, students, and families, and listening to their concerns before making decisions that impacts the district as a whole. And when we are at a meeting as a board, I think it's so important that we stay on task and focus on what we're working on and not delve into other areas. So again, those are the areas that I would say to stay on target. Thank you.
Eric Hartz, how do you think a Board of Education can stay on target, be sure it stays on target?
I think we have to collaborate. There has to be a lot of collaboration. It stays on target, I suppose, is a changing a relative term. But when I think of stay on target, I'm thinking of, are we collaborating, listening to the community? Are we working with our teachers? Are we doing what's in the best interest of our students? And are we listening to the administration? I look at the role of a board member as first and foremost, I'm representative of the community and my constituents. And I take that very seriously, whether I personally agree or not. I try to voice that concern and address it at the school board meetings and try to drive some decision makings. And that's how I look at, keeping focused and staying on target in our district. I happen to think we do a very good job as a district. I think our board does a very good job, as well as our teachers and administration, but it's certainly not easy. And it's a lot of work for all parties involved to do that because we have a lot of different opinions of everybody. So it's respecting other people's opinions and trying to work together to come to one common goal. And we're going to have disagreements along the way. But as long as we can stay focused on the students and listen to everybody, make sure everybody has a voice, I think that we can get there.
Chris Bondurant, the best way for a Board of Education to be sure it stays on target.
Thank you. Well, okay, right now I would say the best way, the first thing I would do is I would set our priorities, make sure we know what our target is. Do we have a target? Do we have a set of priorities? Secondly, follow policy. Follow through with policy, follow up, and then just follow through. It really isn't any more than that. Set your priorities, follow your policies, follow up, follow through. Thank you.
Next question, and I won't repeat it each time. If you do need it repeated, just please ask. How should the school board go about finding out and knowing what the parents and community in the district are thinking? So how should the school board go about finding out and knowing what parents and the community in the district are thinking? The first person to answer this is Chris.
Well, communication is huge, and a lot of it is we need to be transparent. How do we do that? I would love to see more of a town meeting type thing. Going in front of the school board, all you get to do is speak to the school board members and they look at you. They can ask questions, but there is no dialogue. There is no back and forth. I am a strong believer in town hall type meetings, and I don't understand why we don't have any in Cottage Grove. As far as school board meetings and that everything's at the district office here in Monona, I believe that some of it needs to be out in Cottage Grove too. We need to let everybody's voice be heard. I mean, everybody's not gonna like the answer, but at least they get a chance to get out there and be heard. Thank you.
Andrew McKinney.
We do get communications through email. And then, of course, during COVID, it has been very, very difficult for people to come in to speak. We had meetings where people would come in and voice their opinions, and also we had to read it as well. And for me, on personal, I do have communication with our constituents out here in Monona and Cottage Grove as they email me personally, and just getting the opinions, and just listening. We may not agree on everything, but people do want their voices heard. I was one before I got on the board. I was one that was wanted my voice to be heard as well, and it wasn't. So I ran for school board. And here I want to be here to speak for people who have not been heard. And there's a lot of folks out here in our community, our low income, our Black and Brown, and our Hispanic, Latino, and Hmong community that has not been heard. And I do want to reach out to them and say, hey, you have a voice as well. Please send an email or contact us. We're here for you. This is what the board does. Thank you.
Lorraine Gage.
Again, I'm going to echo what I've heard from other candidates as well. I think communication is essential. So email is definitely important. I think keeping that ongoing on a regular basis from the superintendent, also from administrators as well. But also providing forums so that teachers and parents can communicate with teachers and administrators on an ongoing basis, and providing different forums. So maybe a teacher or family can't attend a certain forum, but then provide alternatives so that everyone can attend. But it's essential to have ongoing communication. Right now, it is a challenge with the pandemic to have in person, but any opportunity that parents and teachers can communicate with us, I think it's important. And then also as a school board member, having an open door policy that you can communicate with us via phone or email. Thank you.
Eric Kurtz.
Well, I have held listing sessions for the public, Facebook Live listing sessions related to the pandemic and reopening and the closing of schools. So that's one way that I've accomplished that. I've also, I think I'm very available to the community by phone or email. I respond to every email that I get. My first 3 years, I've sent over 1,000 emails out to people acknowledging their response. Some of them have given me some great feedback, which I've carried over to the board meetings that I've done. And I also think that, you have to be available as a board member to listen to people, and that's really important. The district has had some listening sessions all along related to the pandemic and with the referendum in Monona and Cottage Grove. I think one of the reasons that some people might not know about those is we do a better job of communication and making sure everybody knows that those are available. We certainly, I think, can do better with that, but I do think that we're doing a good job of trying to get information out to the public. It's certainly an area that needs some improvement though as well. So.
Next question is, how could you help the board become more effective? How could you help the board become more effective? First candidate to answer is Lorraine.
Sure. I think my personal experience helps the board to be more effective. One, as a single parent that has, faced issues, with my children financially, and then balancing the act of the academic piece. But then also my work as a special education teacher, working in urban communities, bringing that lens to the board. And then also I work heavily in the homeless community and with mental health, and bringing that information and resources that I have to support the board, and then also as a district as a whole. Thank you.
Andrew is next.
For me, it has shown these past couple of years, actually these 3 years that I've been on the board, being voted to be the vice president, and now the 2 years in a row president. We all come from different backgrounds. We all have different opinions. We all have different lifestyles. But what I love about this board is that when it comes down to it, we do come together and we collaborate and we do what's best for the school district. And I personally, I could say it, I'm happy and I'm proud of what we've done over the in 2020, the 40 plus meetings, not including committees, and that we have came in. And this is not an easy job. it's not like we're getting paid millions of dollars either. It's because we have the heart that we want to do the best for our kids in the school district. I have 2 kids in the school district. I had a couple that graduated from the school district. And as a disabled veteran who served this country for 6.5 years during Desert Storm, I know what it takes. And I am proud to be on this school board, and this is why I'm rerunning. Thank you.
Eric is next.
I think it's can be somewhat an eye-opening experience working with 7 people and trying to come to a conclusion or agree on something. So I think to be an effective board member, you have to have a personality and willingness to adapt and listen to other people's opinions and try to compromise. I think there's certainly a lot of compromise that's involved with being a board member. That's one of the things I learned in my first 3 years. So it's kind of like a big Titanic ship, and it turns just a little bit and moves really, really slowly. So you have to be patient that things aren't going to come real quickly. And you have to invest the time and the confidence and believe that what you're doing is for the right reasons. So I think those are the really kind of some very important skills that I have, hopefully that have made me a good board member and will continue to make me a better board member in the future.
All right, the next question, getting provocative now. What is the role of schools in teaching children about sex education? What is the role of schools in teaching children about sex education? And Andrew McKinney is first on this question.
The rules of teaching sex education at the high school level is very important. As I was taught that in high school myself, it should be part of the curriculum. It does give vital detail, and also parents should be able to look at the curriculum and make sure that it is good for their kids as well. I can't really go and speak that because I had it, that was many years ago. We are in a change in time now where everything is really being critiqued. So we just want to make sure that we're careful doing the basics and making sure that we're not going overboard in some of it, and just keep on doing what we need to do to educate the kids so they can have a better future and knowing what everything is about sexual education is about. Thank you.
Chris Bondurant.
Thank you. Actually, I'd like to go back to the last question because I did not get a chance to answer that question.
I apologize. Yes.
Okay.
How would you help the board become more effective? I need to be more effective. Go ahead.
Actually, the first thing I would like to do is I would like to see a group of student advocates that actually come to the board and bring us their issues. A lot of the issues that are brought to the board are brought to the board by the parents of these kids. I would love to see a group of kids come to the school board and say, this is what we need. This is what we'd like to have. Why don't we have an opportunity to do this? I have high hopes for this school district as far as starting some intramural sports to get more kids involved, more kids involved in school, wanting to be in school, having friends to hang out with in school, because the winters are way too long here in Wisconsin to not have a sport or an activity for these kids. There's too many kids. We have a lot more to offer these kids from MG than just a part-time job during high school. I'm sorry.
The next one, you get a 2 for here. What is the role of schools in teaching children about sex education?
Well, I'm not going to say what the rules should be.
The rules, the role.
The role. Okay, well, the role should be, we want to teach health education. We want to teach the whole kid. Sex is such a small part of it, but yes, it can be a huge thing with kids. We all know that. It's all over the internet. It's all over TV. It's a very private matter, and a lot of it needs to be dealt with at home. If I have a parent that doesn't want to have their kids in that class, I don't have a problem with that. But I do believe that we need to teach them health, well-being from top to bottom, not only just sex education. Thank you.
Eric Hartz.
Well, I mean, sex education is taught in 28 different states, 28 or 30 different states, and most public schools teach it. I think we need to continue to teach it, but we certainly need to respect parents who want to teach that at home. Absolutely. I completely understand that. I think our society is overwhelmed with popularism and sex and the internet and social media. But I think it's important that we teach our children how to, protect themselves and how to be safe. And those are very important for children and students to learn. So, but I completely understand if that is something that parents feel belongs in the home. I get that, and there should be options for that then to opt out. So that's how I feel about it.
Lorene Gage.
Sure. I think sex education is important, even starting as young as kindergarten, but obviously based off of their age and based off the guidelines of the state. I think it's important to give parents the option of allowing students to participate in it. But I think exposure to health issues is very important starting at a young age. But again, just the guidelines need to be in place from the state so that it's appropriate for the age. Thank you.
Okay, I think I got everybody in. Next question. What is the role of schools in teaching children about racism, diversity, and equity? What is the role of schools in teaching children about racism, diversity, and equity? And Lorene Gage starts this one.
Sure. I think it definitely needs to be embedded in the curriculum. Racism is all around us in our communities, and our students are facing it on a day-to-day basis. And I think that it should be talked about, it should be addressed, and students should feel welcome. So definitely, I think starting at a young age, race should be talked about. I think also that race diversity should be included in the curriculum. Oftentimes it's omitted, and we need to talk about the wonderful things that students of color, people of color have contributed to society. So definitely it should be embedded into our curriculum. Thank you.
Chris Bondurant.
The role of the school, I believe the role of the school is just to carry on. Hopefully it starts at home, and you can't start too soon, preschool, whatever. Everybody has to be taught that the color of your skin or the way you talk or the way you look or how tall you are or how skinny you are, doesn't matter. We have to teach these kids the whole thing right from the beginning, and hopefully we just another extension of what they're learning at home. We know that a lot of these kids aren't learning it at home, but it can't start too early. And again, diversity in our teaching staff would help a lot. And I believe that officers in the school, even at a younger age, kindergarten, I think an officer holding a kindergartner's hand into this classroom one day because he fell and got hurt or he lost his backpack and he's upset could make a lifelong difference to that kid down the road just because he had a positive interaction with an officer. And I can't say enough that we need to teach these kids that everybody's the same, everybody's worth something, and to just respect each other and do what we would do to each other, what we want done to us. Thank you.
Eric Kurtz.
Our education system has systematically been set up for white people, and it's been an ongoing problem back to Brown versus the Board of Education, clearly. And we need to continue to teach about race and equity in our schools. It's incredibly important, especially as someone like myself who's from a Waukesha, Wisconsin, and went to school there where there was almost zero diversity growing up inside the schools. How am I supposed to get the experience of the world that we live in a microcosm like that without getting it through education? And Monona as well, and Cottage Grove, predominantly white communities. So this is not the world we're going to live in 10 years from now. It's going to be much, much more diverse. So we have to, we have to address that. It needs to be taught. We need to teach about all those things, and it's going to be an ongoing thing and it's just going to increase from this point on. That's one of the reasons I started the Teaching, Learning, and Equity Committee, because I think it's an incredibly important thing to focus on. Just having a Black student having a Black teacher is 7% more likely to graduate high school and 13% more likely to go to college. So these are things and issues that we always need to continue to work on and improve on.
Andrew McKinney.
That's a nice question. I can go on forever, but I'm gonna keep it short and sweet because I'm a man of Black privilege. I had Black history growing up until I moved here to Wisconsin my senior year, where everything changed for me. So I already know how all of these students and parents are feeling because it changed for them living here. We need to understand and respect every culture out there. It needs to be somewhat in some books to be taught, to learn how to love and respect each other as human beings first. If we do not get this, we are going to continue with the inequalities and inequities. This is the way it is. It's about demographics. And the demographics of Dane County back in the days till now was not teaching none of this at all. It is time now to start educating not only our students, our staff, our teachers, and our community about other people's culture so you have a full understanding. Racism would drop down. Everything can drop down. This is what is needed. And I know I've been working hard behind the scenes, but and it's a continued fight. Thank you.
The next question. Do you feel the Monona Grove School District should have a resource officer in middle school and high school? And the first person candidate to answer is Andrew McKinney.
This has been an ongoing issue. And for me, I do not want to see a few bad police officers make it bad for everyone else. I am a defender of this country, foreign and domestic. That was my job as in the military. And we also had bad seeds too. But the positive side of this is that when you can see an officer doing what they're supposed to do, and off these resource officers doing extracurricular things in the schools to make a positive impact, that can recruit future police officers, even of color. It's the negative side is what happens out in the world. And it's just a doggone shame. So for me, the resource officers that we had, they were great. And I want to continue. I do not want to be other school districts that have these issues. I think that we have a great school district and we can keep on moving on forward and learning more as time goes on. Thank you.
Chris Bondurant, you're next.
Thank you. I believe that a resource officer can't be brought into the school too soon. Like I said, even in kindergarten, middle school, not there to police anything. There to show that they're people too. like I said, if a police officer can hold the hand of a kindergartner carrying a backpack that ripped or got dropped in the mud, that could mean that could be a life-altering thing right from that time on. When I went to Monona Grove, the resource officer was our vice principal, Mr. Neiman, and he did a great job, but times have changed. Yes, the worst thing that could happen when I was in high school, maybe got, in a fist fight. It's not that way today. So I am full for the police in presence, but maybe not as an armed officer, but maybe more as a liaison to the police department, possibly in some type of uniform, but not a patrolman's uniform. And I believe that exposure to the police for any race and any age is not a bad thing at all. Thank you.
Lorraine Gage.
Thank you. This is a very important topic to me. I am the person that did request an oversight committee for the student resource officers because of the impact that it had on our students of color. And I think it's important to listen to their voice. We see in our community the impact on people of color, the George Floyd incident, and so many other incidents like that impact people of color. And we want to make sure that that doesn't happen in our schools. So if we're able to come up with a solution that our students of color feel comfortable and safe, then yes, I would support it. But at this point, at the current contract, I think there needs to be changes to the policy and some procedures that need to be changed. So if, again, those things are changed and our students of color feel safe and wanted, then yes, I will support SROs. Thank you.
Eric Hartz.
I am educating myself on this issue day by day, including next week. I have we're going to talk about this at our Teaching Learning Equity Committee. In general, yeah, I support police in schools. As a teacher in Madison area high schools, it was very important. However, what I don't support is police in schools arresting students for drugs and other mental health issues and disrupting students that are actually going to school and learning. And I also don't support police coming into schools with warrants and arresting students who are actively learning in their classes. That is a safe place. That is a place where we want these students, and we want to encourage them to continue to be there. We don't want to take them out of a positive environment. Now, if it comes to violent crimes or violent actions, that's a different story. I think that's where we do need our police involved. But I think we have way too many students that have mental health issues, have drugs and alcohol abuse that they need support and help with, and they're getting caught up in this system by the police. And part of that is an administrative thing that I have found out is our administrators are identifying these students, and the police are really just doing their job from that point. So we do need to look at our policies, and we need to look at the contract much closer. And my opinion will be based on those.
All right, our next question is a mouthful, so I might have to repeat it. How would you rate the actions of the ad hoc sustainability committee to date? And would you support making this ad hoc committee a permanent committee for the district to continue to address the ways the school district can proactively address the issue of climate change? So how do you rate the actions of this ad hoc sustainability committee to date? And would you support making it permanent so it can proactively address the issue of climate change? And we start this round with Eric Hartz.
I support the ad hoc committee and making it a permanent committee. They've just applied for a large grant that's going to help our district out, and I hope that they get it. Started out some amazing work that they've done in a short time that the committee has been together, and I hope that they can continue. And if I were to vote to make the ad hoc sustainability committee an ongoing committee, I would do that.
Lorraine Gage.
Thank you. I actually had the opportunity of now being a part of the sustainability committee. And so I do see the work that they're doing. I think it's pretty robust. And what I really, really appreciated from the equity lens is that they're looking at some of the policies and procedures in place that affects equity. So having contractors that are people of color, I think is important. But also climate change, I think, is real. And I think that definitely we need this in place, and this is something that we should definitely keep on board. Thank you.
Chris Bondurant, you're next.
Thank you. As far as an I'm sorry, what is it? Ad hoc?
Ad hoc Sustainability Committee.
Yes. I believe that sustainability is very important. Yes, I like the idea of solar panels. And also there's a lot that the school district could do just to look at garbage pickup. I live right behind the high school. I hate to say this, I've seen them pick up empty dumpsters because they're on a everyday pickup thing instead of actually when they're full. So as sustainability for the whole school district, and there again, what's our target? What are our priorities? We need to follow up and follow through. There's a lot we can do just within the walls of every school that we already have to help hold down garbage, up the recycling. I bet you every custodian in that school has probably a box full of pencils that he's thrown away every year. We need to recycle those. We need to have a box where the kids can grab a pencil if they need one. But yes, I believe that climate change is real also, and that the school should be a leader in this issue. Thank you.
And Andrew McKinney. Oh, yeah, you'll need to unmute. It didn't go.
Ah, there we go. Yeah, the Ad Hoc Sustainability Committee has been putting in very, very great work in a short amount of time. And just to echo off everybody, it's just that, yes, this is very needed. And I would definitely support seeing the work that has been done and the forecast of the revenues that would generate and the monies that is going to be saving our school district it's wonderful. It's a win-win for not just the school district, but for the community as well. So I am definitely in for pushing for the Ad Hoc Sustainability Committee to be permanent. Thank you.
Next question. How has the pandemic changed your thinking regarding how we are educating our youth? How has the pandemic changed your thinking regarding how we are educating our youth? And the first person to answer is Chris.
One thing I'd like everybody to know that these questions are right off the top of my head. Our answers are off the top of our head. None of us had an opportunity to see these questions before.
That's right.
So how has COVID-19 changed the way that the students have learned? Or the way we
How has the pandemic changed your thinking regarding how we educate our youth?
It's shown me how important it is to have kids in school. My senior lost pretty much half his junior year, and well, he's going to lose pretty much all his senior year. And he is a social kid. He misses it. My junior, not so much. She's okay. She doesn't mind the virtual. Not that she isn't social, but not as much as my senior. So it shows me that we needed to do something to get these kids together somehow, small group, whatever. But I believe that in-person teaching is very important, but I also want to leave in that the virtual option should be there forever, I guess. Thank you.
Andrew McKinney, you're next.
Can you repeat that question one more time, please?
How has the pandemic changed your thinking regarding how we are educating our youth?
COVID-19 has exposed public schools and private and schools across what needs to be done here in the future. We have been learning that we have a lot of students that can learn virtually. And we know that we have some students that cannot. So we definitely need the in-person. So for the future, as I stated earlier, that we need our teachers, future teachers, hopefully we can have some future teachers, to learn how to do virtual and in person at the same time. This is going to be the new norm. So, and in the education, so for this educational piece, I can see in the future here that we can have smaller in-person classes. We'll have a lot of students that's doing virtual. And this is, like, again, this is the new norm, it's the future. And I think that if we do it correctly with good planning, listening to our community, our staff, also listening to the legislators, and also higher ed on how they're going to prepare our teachers and new staff to come into education in public and private schools to do this great work to educate our kids. I think that this is going to be the new norm, and then we need to go ahead and focus and do this right and educate our kids. Thank you.
Laureen Gage.
Sure, thank you. I think we've learned that planning and preparation is so important, right? We were not expecting this pandemic to, one, be this long or to the extent of what it's happened. So I think it's so important to be prepared for whatever comes next. I think we've learned that our teachers are resilient, that they can handle both virtual and in-person learning in a short amount of time. I think that we've learned that mental health, or having resources for mental health, is so important. Some students have been impacted by not having interactions with other students. And then also, the pandemic, maybe a loss of a family member. So having that in place is so important. And then also having virtual options for students in the future. Some students are really thriving in this environment and enjoy it. So just, again, kind of providing options and then planning early and often. Thank you.
And Eric Hartz.
Well, as a teacher, a lifelong teacher, and having my daughter who's 7, I will never, ever underestimate the extrinsic value of public education again. Now, knowing what it's like when it's pulled away from you for more than a year and you don't have that. The value of socialization with other people, with friends, with extracurricular school activities that have huge impacts on our students. The routine, a daily routine that students go through to prepare them for college, to prepare them for work, to prepare them for the rest of their lives, all very important skills that I may have taken for granted because of the pandemic. But we've also learned that quite possibly online learning may benefit a small group of our students looking forward. And we may have more options for students that are thriving in online learning. So that would be maybe the one good thing that might have come from this, is it has forced us more quickly to move into a technology-based education option for some of our students.
Well, one more question before closing statements. How would you serve differently from your opponents? What differentiates you? How would you serve differently? Eric, you start.
I can't speak to how I would serve differently from my opponents. They all have valuable skills and bring their own skill sets to the board. I can say how I will serve myself based on the previous experience that I have, which is first and foremost, I try to be available to the community, my constituents, and then I try to bring in the experience I have as an educator and use that to bring new ideas or to adjust or look at things that we're currently doing as a district and see if they can be improved upon. But most importantly, I am somebody that has the ability to adapt and to move on to new things, especially if it's something I disagree with. I don't take anything personal. And I think, collaborating with 7 different people in a school district, you need that skill set in order to be successful. So those are the things that I bring. And I think we have a wonderful board. Everybody has their own talents and experience that brings to the board. And I believe new members would do the same.
Chris Bondurant, how would you serve differently from your opponents?
Well, I'm going to say that I would not serve differently. I want to serve with the board members. I'm not looking in there to come in to change things. I'm looking to, well, let's not say not change things. I'm looking to move things forward. But I'm looking to work with these people as a group, with the staff, with the students, with the community. Monona Grove can be great, but it needs some improvement. I'll say that. Thank you.
Andrew McKinney.
Like the others, there's nothing I wouldn't change. It's just that I'm all about collaboration. And for these past 3 years, I have collaborated with some of the with the best board members that I can work with. And anyone that runs that are interested in running, I can work with as well, because they have the same heart and the same mindset as me. They want to work for the student, staff, and the school district. This is not anything you just jump up and run for and just get on. And I hope it's not for a lot of people, just to make it an ego thing. This is a collaboration that you have different mindsets, different backgrounds. And for me, being from the background that I come with, and from military and civilian life, this is what I wanted to bring here to the board. And I have brought it, but I still want to continue with this great work. So no matter what happens April 6th, I am going to still do the same thing I have been doing, and working collaboratively with the board, working with our community, our constituents, our administration, our teachers, staff, and especially our students. Thank you.
Lorraine Gage.
I think I would echo what the other candidates are saying. I think that our board is unique, and I definitely wouldn't change any of their ways of thinking. I think just again, I bring to the board being a parent, a former educator, a person that has worked in mental health and homelessness. I bring that lens to the board, and I want to continue that. Also, I think some really great strengths that I have is I'm a really great listener. I hear that I often, kind of sit back on the board and sometimes and just listen. And I want to continue I think that's so important, to listen to board members, but listen to teachers and families as well. And I think I have another skill set is being patient. It's okay. You don't have to be always the first person to jump in to speak. But it's important to hear all sides of a view. So I think those are the things that I bring. Thank you.
And Lorraine Gage, you will start with closing remarks. So you have 1.5 minutes for closing remarks.
Great, thank you. So I kind of touched on this in some of my answers. So again, when my children were younger, it was a balancing act of being a single mother, putting food on the table, and ensuring that my children did well academically. I appreciated oftentimes in districts, they would give me donations on Thanksgiving holidays or Christmas holidays, but I didn't want pity. I wanted someone to advocate for me. I wanted resources, and I didn't see that growing up, raising my children. And I want to be that sounding board for families to advocate for them. There are families out there like me, especially now with the pandemic, that need someone to know. They need to know that there's someone like them, financially or academically, need help with their children. Also, as a special education teacher, I understand what's needed in the classroom. It's important that teachers have voices in the classroom and outside of the classroom. And lastly, I think it's important that students of color see someone that reflects them, and know that that's someone that's advocating on their behalf. So I want to continue to advocate and be a sounding board for teachers, students, and families. But the only way that I can do that is with your support and your vote on April 6th. Thank you.
Chris Bondurant, you're next.
First, I would like to thank you all for your time and good luck to all the candidates. The only winners and losers in this election will be the residents of this district and the students. I wholeheartedly support students and the staff at MG and the complete district. I appreciate your support and I ask for your vote on April 6th. And I will do nothing more than just work for this district, and I will always keep the students first. Thank you.
Andrew McKinney, your closing remarks.
When my counselor asked me at East when I moved up here, what did I want to be when I grow up? And my response was alive, because I survived so many drive-by shootings in Gary and moved up here believing that there was a safe environment. But coming to a environment of 96% white, where racism here was out of bounds. My daughter, one of my oldest daughters, went through a racial incident in Monona Grove School District that put me in a position where I needed to do something. And this is why I had ran for school board, so I can do something to make a difference and make a change. There's a lot of students out there of color, poor, with mental issues. They don't have a voice. They don't believe in anything. And I just want to let them know that I am here. I'm your voice for you. And so for my second term, I just want to continue to have better opportunities for our students, staff, communities, and families. And that's pretty much it. That's all I want to do. So just vote for me April 6th, or vote for any candidate that you believe. If you believe who you ever believe in, you vote. But knowing if I lose or if I win, I'm gonna do the same. Thank you.
Eric Hertz.
Well, I'd like to thank the community for electing me to my first term, and I hope that you will consider me for a second term. In my first term, I started the Teaching, Learning, and Equity Committee, and I chair that committee. I'm also on the Personnel Committee. I voted to successfully pass a new referendum and build the new elementary school and renovations to Winnequa. I voted safely to open in-person learning for the district. I proposed successfully to lower fees for freshman jumpstart. I held listening sessions for the public, and I requested a plan and voted for the K-5 reopening plan for 4 days a week, and requested a plan and voted for the winter sports to play games outside of Dane County. And I would like to continue the work that I've done for another term. So I hope that you will vote for me on April 6th. Thank you.
Thank you to all of the candidates for running, for serving, for appearing on this forum. And thanks to all of you who are watching on YouTube and to those who submitted questions ahead of time. On behalf of Monona Community Media and the Monona Eastside Business Alliance, I'm Joy Cardine with the League of Women Voters of Dane County. Please make a plan to vote on or before April 6th. Thank you.
Thank you, Joy.
Thank you very much, everybody.
Good
Go
luck,
enjoy
See you
your
guys.
everybody.
day.